Hey class, welcome back. So we're going to be going over lesson 3, graphing linear relationships. Before we start this lesson, I just want to do a little bit of review. We have determined that for all equations that we have been determining, so every single linear equation that we found, we want to leave it in the format of y equals mx plus b, right? So we want to leave it in y-intercept slope form, right? And this is the most, it's the equation of the line that just gives us the most information in the least amount of space and with the least amount of work. So it says state the equation of a line with the following slope and y-intercept. So when you're given something like this, I know that the slope is going to be m is going to equal it's going to equal 6, b is going to equal -2. So I know that y equals mx plus b. I'm just going to go and plug my things in. Y equals 6x plus -2, right? And then that turns into y equals 6x minus 2. You don't have to show this step here. I'm just showing it for the purposes of this video, right? As we move on now, we have y equals mx plus b again. My m is going to be a fraction this time. So y equals 1 over 3x plus 6. And that is my answer. Okay. So moving on to example 2. It says to determine the slope and the y-intercept for each of the following relations, right? And then given each relationship above, use the slope and y-intercept form, right? So you can do this one of two ways. You can go in and just put in the y-intercept and you can find out, okay, we're looking for the y-intercept, what is it going to be? And then you can find the slope by doing rise over run. That's fine too. Personally, what I like to do is I just like to isolate for the y, because I know that slope is going to be y equals mx plus b, right? So I can just rearrange this equation and try to get the y by itself. Both ways are completely acceptable. This way is just, in my personal opinion, way easier to work with. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, 3x minus 2y plus 6 equals 0. Right? So I'm going to want to get rid of the 6 first. So I'm going to say 3x minus 2y plus 6 minus 6. Whatever I do on one side, I got to do to the other. So then this becomes 3x minus 2y equals -6. Now I want to get rid of the x. So I'm just going to do minus 3x, right, on both sides. Minus 3x, I'm left with -2y equals -3x, because I like to put the x first, minus 6. Right, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Both sides by 2. When I'm dividing something like this by 2, and it's going to be -2, it's going to be -3x over -2 minus 6 over -2, right? I'm just going to pull this up here, right? So then I'm left with y equals -3 and -2 will cancel each other out, so it's -3. It's just positive 3x over positive 2. -6 and -2 will cancel out, so you can just do it this way if you want. So 6 divided by -2 is going to be -3. Y equals, and you don't have to show that step. I just do for, again, the sake of this class. Right? So I know that's my slope. There's two ways for me to graph this. So in the solutions that I'm going to post, I actually drew out a table of values, right? So I can say a table of values table, and I'm just going to do it. So I have -4, -2, 0, +2, +4. And then so I have y, by just plugging in -4 for x, I get -3, 0, 3, 6, and 9, right? And I'm just going to go in and graph this as orange. Actually, I'm going to graph it as green. So I'm going to go in and graph this as green. So I'm going to say, okay, -4 was here. Go down to -3. I'm going to go over to -2. And it's going to be -2 and y is, so -2, y is 0, right? Then you have 0 over here and the y is 3. You have +2 and the y is 6. And then you have 4 and the y is 9, right? You could have also easily gone in and been like, all right, so I start off at any point. So let me say my y-intercept is 3. I could go 1, 2, 3, up 3 over 2 and plot that in. I could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then I do it that way as well. Okay, it just depends on however you want to plot it. So it would be 1, 2, 3. So it would be 1, 2, 3 over 2. That makes sense. And then the other way you could just say, all right, because I'm going the opposite way, I can go 1, 2, 3 over 2, 2, 3 over 2, right? So I can go up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. However you want to plot it, in my opinion, this is easy for me to understand. But if you can't visualize the graph yourself, then you can just make a table of values. Whatever works for you to do. So I'm just going to draw the line in here. Yours is going to be nicer because it's going to actually be done with a ruler, but nonetheless, you get the idea. So let's do B. I'm going to do B in this purple color over here. Okay, so we have B is equal to 5x plus y minus 3 equals 0. And I'm just going to rearrange and try to get that y by itself. So 5x plus y minus 3 plus 3 equals 0 plus 3, right? 5x plus y equals, this cancels each other out, so we're left with 3. 5x minus 5x will give me 0, so I'll get y by itself. So then I'm left with negative 5x plus 3. Right, y equals negative 5x plus 3. And again, I know here that my graph is going to start at plus 3, so I can just go down 5 and over 1, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. Sorry, apologies. Down 5, so again, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. And then if I want to go in the opposite direction, right, I'm just going to do the opposite. So instead of going down 5, if I want to find out what came before, I can go up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, and so on and so forth. And then I can just draw this lovely line like this. If you don't want to do that, you can also just plot the graph as well, right? So you can do the x and y. Either way, I will accept. Just need to see that you got the point somehow. So 1, 0, 1, 2, negative 7, negative 2. And I just plugged in x and found these numbers. Okay? And those are my two graphs. All right. So it says using the following relationships, it says graph the following relationships using the x and y intercept, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to find out, all right, where does it cross the x-axis? So when does y equal 0? And then where does it cross the y-axis? So where does x equal 0, right? So we want to find those two, which we did today. So the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So we're just going to go in and plot that. Right? So I'm going to say, okay, 3x minus 4y plus 12 equals 0. So I have 3x minus 4 times 0 plus 12 equals 0. Negative 4 times 0 is just 0. Zero plus 12 gives me plus 12. I want to get rid of that 12 so I can get 3x by itself. So I'm going to do, to get rid of the 12, I got to subtract 12 on both sides. 3x equals negative 12 divided by 3 divided by 3. X equals negative 12 divided by 3 is just going to be negative 4. So I know that my y-intercept, my x-intercept coordinates, negative 4 and 0. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, just for my y-intercept. And I'm just going to change this color to, I like this color. Y-intercept is when x is equal to 0, right? Because the opposite one is equal to 0. So so I'm just going to plug it back into this 3x minus 4y. So I'm going to put again 0 minus 4y plus 12 equals 0. 0 minus 4y plus 12 equals 0. Negative 4y plus 12 equals 0. I want to get the 12 on the other side, so I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Negative 4y equals positive 12 minus 12 will just give me 0. 0 minus 12 is negative 12. Negative 4y, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4 to get the y by itself. Right, so negative 4 divided by negative 4 just gives me positive 1. So y, these cancel out. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 will give me positive 3. So my y-intercept is 0, positive 3, right? So now I can just go in and plot these 2 points and connect them, right? So I'm going to find my negative 4 over here, and 0, so I'm going to put that plot there. And then I'm going to find my 0, 3, and put that plot there, and just connect these 2 lines. And of course, like I said, yours will look better because you will not be graphing using no ruler. Okay. Please always put the arrows. I noticed a lot of you on your quizzes were missing these arrows. Super important to say that they go on forever and ever. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and highlight this in blue. All right. Actually, I'm going to highlight it in purple because I believe on your video, that's what I highlighted it as. Or on your solution sheet, that's what I highlighted it as. Okay. So then I'm just going to move on and we're going to do B. This is the time where I'm going to tell you, obviously, you already know what's coming, right? Try this one by yourself. Then if you don't understand it, then that's a good place to come back and look at this. But for now, try it on your own. See if you understand it. So pause this video and try. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to just go over and do this one. So we're going to find the x-intercept. We're going to say, okay, x-intercept, like we learned in yesterday's lesson and like we did before, is when y is equal to 0, right? So I'm just going to go in and plug in y equals 0 over here in this equation that I've been given. So x plus 2 times 0 minus 8 equals 0, right? X plus 0 minus 8 equals 0. X minus 8 equals 0, right? I want to get the 8 and move it to the other side, so I'm going to add 8 on both sides. 0 plus 8 is x, so that means that my x-intercept is 8 and my y is 0, right? So then I already have 1 point on the graph. I'm actually going to just go in and do it right now. So I'm going to go x is equal to 8, my y is equal to 0, so I'm going to plot that in. Then I'm going to say, all right, I want to find the y-intercept, so I'm going to use this nice color here. I'm going to say, all right. So the y-intercept is when the opposite is equal to 0, so when x is equal to 0, right? So I'm just going to sub in 0 for that x plus 2y minus 8 equals 0. 2y minus 8 equals 0. I want to get the 2y by itself, so instead of negative 8, I'm going to add 8 to cancel those out. So 0 plus 8, whatever I do on one side, I got to do the other. 2y equals 8. I want to get the 2y, I want to get the y by itself, so I want to get rid of the 2 by doing the opposite. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 equals 4. So y is equal to 4, and 0 was the x. So 0, 4, 0, 4 is that intercept. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to connect these lines. This one's a little trickier to do for me without a ruler, but if you have a ruler, it's actually quite easy to draw in. Okay. And so I'm going to go back and highlight this. I put this as blue. So my blue line represents B. Okay. There you go. Alrighty. And that is how to graph them having both the y and x intercepts. You don't need to make a table of values. You have 2 points on the graph. Just connect those 2 points on the graph. If you have a ruler, you will have a much better image than I do, and then you can find out different points in the graph. Okay? Because I don't have a ruler, this isn't the best way to graph it, but in theory, if I had a ruler, I could go and look at this and be like, all right, at 6, it's going to be 2, right? And that's like the beauty of being able to graph just using those 2 coordinates, because you don't actually have to go and find the equation of the graph. Okay, this is just an easier way to graph. And then if you have the slope, you can graph it this way. You can also just go up, you know, the way that I graphed the purple line here, however you feel best. Or you can make a table of values. So I've given you a few ways that you can graph these equations. All right, thank you.